Well, you guys see my thumbnail, so we have to get into this situation about the three officers who uh, fatally beat Tyree Nichols during a traffic stop not far away from his mother's home. I don't know if you guys will remember this, but this happened back in January of 2023. The trial has been going on for at least, I believe, about 10 days, maybe longer, maybe shorter. But the trial has been going on, and we must talk about the three officers who were acquitted of their charges. All right. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. I do also want to go ahead and give a brief trigger warning in regards to this, only because of the details of what actually took place to Mr. Tyree Nichols. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into it.
With our reactions to the charges, and we applaud the district attorney for bringing charges against the 5 officers for second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. Very important charges against these 5 officers. As Pastor Thomas refers, sometimes I am referred to as Black America's Attorney General. And we stand on the principle of equal justice. So let me be exceedingly clear on this point. When we look at how these 5 black officers who were caught on camera committing a crime, and when we look at how fast the police chief and the police department terminated them, and we look at how swiftly the district attorney brought charges against them in less than 20 days, then we want to proclaim that this is the blueprint going forward.
All my son was trying to do was get home. That's all he tried to do, was come home. He was 2 minutes from the house when they stopped him. He was less than 80 yards away when they murdered him. Yes, I said murdered.
That's right.
Because when I walked into that hospital room, my son was already dead. The hospitals, they kept him alive, or they put him on the breathing machine just for my satisfaction, I guess.
For their satisfaction.
But my son died on January 7th. And we're going to get justice for my son Tyree, if that's the last breath I take.
That's right. Amen.
Because at the end of the day, my son and no son deserves this at all.
Listen, I wanted to get into this Tyree Nichols situation. Y'all, listen, I think a lot of people are angered, and I think we need to talk about it. I think we do definitely need to have this conversation because the three officers have been acquitted, all right, found not guilty of unaliving Tyree Nichols, all right. If you guys don't remember, about 2 years ago, Tyree Nichols was beaten to unaliving by five officers in the Memphis area. Okay. I have other videos that I will link down in the description box of this video where we did talk about Tyree Nichols. I even think I gave an update video maybe some months ago when Ben Crump and his mom did a press conference. Tyree Nichols' mom did a press conference in regards to this. So we're going to get into this. I'm going to let you guys know I am not happy with this at all. Um, I can only imagine how his mom feels in regards to this because I think that this is absolutely bananas. That this happened to her son, and here we are now, and it's almost like 2 years later, we still don't have justice for him. If y'all can remember correctly, uh, uh, former Vice President Kamala Harris was down supporting the family. Ben Crump is supporting the family. You guys know how I feel about Ben Crump, but we're gonna go ahead and get into this, y'all. I'm I feel a way about this. I'm going to be honest. So let's go ahead and let's get into everything and we'll go from there. Now, a Tennessee jury cleared three former Memphis police officers Wednesday of all state charges. Remember, all state charges stemming from the fatal beating of a black uh, motorist that sparked protests across the country 2 years ago. And I know you guys remember that. Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith were found not guilty of second degree unaliving, among other charges in the death of Tyree Nichols. Shelby County Criminal Court Judge James Jones Jr. ordered the men released immediately. All three were overcome with emotion as they hugged one another and their lawyer in the Memphis courtroom. Each of the three defendants faced a count of second degree unaliving, a count of aggravated assault, two counts of aggravated kidnapping, two counts of official misconduct, and a count of official oppression. They were acquitted of all. They had already been facing time behind bars after they were convicted of some federal charges stemming from Nichols' death. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Moray told reporters outside the courtroom that he and his team are obviously disappointed by the verdict. Same here. We respect the jury's decision, but we obviously strongly disagree with it, he said. We, in good faith, brought this case, and I am convinced that this day um, I'm convinced to this day that we had compelling evidence that showed that there was proof for every element of every one of the offenses that were charged. The jury took a different view. That is, of course, they're right. That's the part of the decision that we don't agree with. The prosecutor said that he struggled to grasp how all the officers were cleared of every charge. Was I surprised that there wasn't a single guilty verdict on any of the counts or any of the lesser included offenses, given the overwhelming evidence that I think that we presented? Yes, I was surprised, he said. Later, in response to a question from a reporter, do I have an explanation for it? No, I don't. Ben Crump and Antonio, lawyers for Nichols' family, called the decision a devastating miscarriage of justice in a statement. Tyree's life was stolen and his family was denied the justice that they so deeply deserve. We are outraged and we know that we are not alone, they said. NAACP President Derek Johnson also was not happy with the verdict. The Tyree and his family deserve true justice, not only in the courtroom but in Congress, by passing police reform litigation once and for all. Johnson said in a statement, traffic stops should never be a death sentence, and a badge should never, ever be a shield to accountability. Nichols, a FedEx employee and aspiring photographer, was pulled over on suspicion, of reckless driving at about 8:24 p.m. on January the 7th of 2023. Get the F out the car. Get out the effing car. And officer screamed as he pulled Nichols out of the car. I didn't do anything, Nichols responded. While Nichols was on the pavement, officers could be seen using pepper spray and tasers on him before he ran away. He ran towards his mother home, but pursuing officers caught up with him about 80 yards short of the home, officials said. Body cam video shows that Nichols had been beaten and kicked as he tried to get away. Nichols screamed "Mom" as he was beaten during the second confrontation with the police. The police training officer and use of force expert testified for prosecutors and called the actions officers took against Nichols unnecessary and excessive. The beating reflected a common law enforcement practice known as the street tax or run tax for abusing a suspect who flees, prosecutors have said. Nichols' death 3 days after the beating sparked protests across the world. His parents were guests of the White House. President Joe Biden's State of the Union address just weeks later. All right.
We are following some breaking news. 3 former Memphis police officers have just been found not guilty on all charges in the state trial over the beating death of Tyree Nichols.
The jury reaching that verdict on just the second day of deliberations. Let's get right to NBC News correspondent George Solis. He's been tracking this. He joins us now. George, take us through the verdict and the reaction inside the court.
Yeah, this verdict was unanimous over the course of 2 days after a trial had started back on April 28th. The jury coming back and delivering a not guilty verdict for all of the 7 counts in this indictment. They are as followed. The most serious, of course, being that second-degree murder charge. You heard the jury there saying not guilty for Demetrius Haley, Tadarius Bean, and Justice Smith. On count 2 for the aggravated assault act in concert, not guilty. For count 3, aggravated kidnapping, not guilty. Count 4, aggravated kidnapping, not guilty. Count 5, official misconduct. And then count 6, which was another count of official misconduct, both not guilty. And then count 7, that official oppression charge, also found not guilty. Within the courtroom, you saw a number of hugs that were taking place, obviously, from the officers. They're the former officers, their elation on their faces after this verdict was read. Again, these 3 officers still face the prospect of years in prison after they were convicted in federal court of charges last year. Again, these were for the state charges. Some more reaction coming in forthcoming. We are waiting to hear from attorney Ben Crump, who we understand also put out a statement shortly after this verdict was read. We'll go ahead and get that to you. We have not heard at this point if there's any reaction from the mother of Tyree Nichols, who was one of the state's witnesses in this case. Very emotional, again, during this trial that began back on April 28th. Pretty quick turnaround when you consider how much this jury was charged with going down this list of charges. 21 counts between the 3 officers overall. But again, at this hour, the 7-count indictment, the jury coming back finding not guilty for all of these charges. And again, we'll wait to see what the sentencing is for those federal charges. Again, this story developing over the course of this case, guys. I should note there were 21 witnesses brought in total. The state only bringing up 5, including Tyree Nichols' mother. Defense bringing 17 witnesses to this case. Again, reaction still forthcoming, and we're waiting to see if the former officers, have any reaction post this verdict.
First of all, I want to say this. I'm so angered at the fact that our very own people first of all, we were angry that our very own people would do this to someone, right? we're angry. Now, I know that there's a lot of things that came out in trial, and I think that we'll do a detailed breakdown of this actual thing. We'll do a live stream where we will break this down. But what I do want to say about these 3 officers that are here right now. Now, y'all know that there were 5 officers that were actually involved. These 3 officers right here were acquitted of the charges against them. I really honestly have no words. I mean, justice, in my opinion, is not served. Um, I really feel for his mother. I do. I feel for Tyree Nichols' mother, because I feel like this is just a really sad situation, because he absolutely deserved to have justice for a person who, it was just a typical traffic stop. You know what I mean? We do know that Memphis is one of the dangerous places here in the U.S., as well as, Tennessee, of course. But I just think that this is overall sad, and I do feel that the outrage that's getting ready to come is probably not going to be. I think with this outcome, I think there's going to be some things that are going to happen. You know what I mean? And I just really feel like in this particular situation, my heart goes out to his mom. My heart goes out to his family. I'm hoping that the other 2 officers, if you remember correctly, they were they actually pleaded guilty and ultimately went on to testify against the 3 officers who maintained their innocence, which is the 3 officers who were acquitted of their charges. Now, listen, y'all, I don't know what that's going to do. I just feel like these 3 officers, they were released immediately. I hope they never have any comfort. I really do. I hope you never have any comfort, because you did what you did, and we saw it on camera. So I'm sorry if that's horrible to say. I said the same thing when it involved Shanquilla Robinson's friends. I just don't think in any way that if you unalive someone, and you guys unalive this man, I just don't feel like you should ever be comfortable. I don't. Listen, y'all, I really want to know your thoughts. I wanted to do this video. I had to calm down a little bit before I did the video, because I am pretty upset. But I want you guys to drop down in the comment section, leave your comments, keep it respectful, keep it cute. You know what I mean? I think we're already dealing with a lot with this. So just keep it cute and keep it respectful. However, let me know your thoughts. Again, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, because we will have more videos like this. All right. Again, rest in peace to Mr. Tyree Nichols, and prayers out to his family as they navigate through this, and especially with there being no justice in this particular situation.